to the Wager Makers Podcast with Webb and Schmidt.
Brick by brick, baby. I'm freaking out, Webb.
I was told there'd be no man. Stupidity's going to be an asset. What a bunch of crybabies.
Hello, thank you all for joining us. This is the Wager Maker Podcast. I'm Schmidt, that's Webb. We are the Wager Makers. Webb, say what's happening, everybody.
Hello. What's up, Schmidt?
I think I'm going to have to get back to my script on the beginning of the thing. I'm forgetting how it goes here and stuff. So, Webb, this is episode number 141 of the Wager Makers Podcast.
Yet again, I just laugh and shake my head. 141 hours of our life we'll never get back for doing this shit. So
that's only the on-air time. Think about all the in between.
The behind the scenes, where all the you want to take a look behind the curtain. That's that's where all the work is done.
That's sort of no interns. We had an intern for a little while. People were gung ho about it. Now we're losing.
That's nobody. Yeah.
It's
gonna be a couple guys. We're gonna hear some shit from Rev G and Scott Wheeler. That's our listeners.
Yeah. So anybody, look, this is episode 141 out there, people. If anybody has any recommendations, any input, how we can make this thing go fucking ape shit. I was talking to the shot girl the other day, Nikki Webb, shot girl at Spirits. She's like, we need like porn stars on here. We need like Instagram famous, like what is called fans only people. Like really, we need to get some people on here.
We need some influencers. We need some social influencers and get this on their shit. Hey, we'll make some money then. I'm open for any and all, sex workers or whatever you want to do. That's fine. We're open to everything, as we are taking on all comers, all sponsors, whatever. We would certainly be if OnlyFans would like to sponsor us, that would work as well.
Anything, contribute anything to make this thing pop. Anything to make this thing pop. So, Webb, playoff football. We had big games last week. We can talk a little bit about those games. First game up, I think the Chargers was the night game. What was the early game last week?
Oh shit, I don't even know. The Dolphins, maybe the
Dolphins Bills. Kind of weird game. We one thing was for sure. We liked the overs in most of the games, and I think it easily went over in every game except for I think the one that we didn't really care for or pick or anything was the Cowboys over, and I think that might have landed like right on the number or right around the number depending on what you got it at.
It's close to see. I mean, you didn't think. I'd have to double check. I don't know. I kind of, I was invested otherwise in that game.
Right.
So
right. Webb, you like Seattle? I liked
you like
San Francisco.
Yep.
We went with Seattle with over. That was the easy over in that game. You liked
I like the Jags.
The Jags. I like the Chargers. That was a wild, crazy, ridiculous game.
Unbelievable. I mean, some of it is just too much at this point. Like it's turning the NBA. You're expecting some fucking stupid shit to go down. I mean, even the nonsense with the Cowboys, the dude missing those kicks. It's just like, what? Are you fucking kidding? Like what?
Even with the Chargers game, Webb, I had the Chargers -2.5, and they were up 27-0.
Right.
And I never stopped kind of paying attention. I didn't sit there adamantly on every play like I would if it was a close game, but I never thought it was over. I never once thought it was over.
Right.
That's for sure. Even laying just it's not like they were laying 10 and up 27. I never 2.5. I never let it go. I never thought I never counted the money. I never thought it was a win. I just knew you're just sitting there going, just don't have something stupid happen.
Yeah, you just don't have TikTok, just like every place looking at the clock almost. I mean, that's how we're conditioned these days. I mean, laying 2.5, it's almost like, damn, I could even get overtime and win this still. Like it's not like you said, you're not laying 10, 2 scores. It's different. I guess this is what the NFL wants. I don't know.
That was bad. Just so you know, the 3 largest postseason comebacks in NFL's history, Webb, this was number 3.
Right.
In 2023, the 27-point comeback. 2013, the Colts came back, 28-point comeback versus the Chiefs.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was. I think it was at the Colts. I think, and the Chiefs got up, and then I remember distinctly the Frank Reich 1992 Bills. I remember being in Jimmy Porter's basement for that.
Yeah, that was
the 32-point comeback for the Oilers, and I remember distinctly because I had the Oilers.
Yeah,
and they were probably getting a couple points, and didn't
right.
cover. So I know for a fact I've been on the wrong side of 2 out of 3, and I'm pretty sure I was on the Chiefs in that other game.
I don't remember that one.
That other thing.
That's great. You remember though.
Yeah, I know for a fact I was on this wrong side of 2 or 3 of them, and it was a playoff game, so I know I had a wager on. Like, it's not like I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this one off." It was a playoff game. It's the only game on. I bet it. I don't know, no matter what year it was, I had money on it.
Right.
So, and then we actually, you like the Vikings. I know you hate the Giants. I kind of was like, man, the Giants might have the Vikings stink. But that game also easily went over. The Bengals didn't get the cover. But that game easily went over, and like I said, man, it was more the bet on the Cowboys was more about the Tampa Bay team I watched all year long than it was about the Cowboys. To me, Tampa Bay was bad all year. There's a reason why you're 8-9 or 9-8, whatever they ended up, and the last 4 or 5 games they needed to win, and teams just gave them the game. Like I watched the game, I watched every game because I was rooting against them. Teams just handed it to Tom Brady, and then all of a sudden they beat the Panthers and the Cardinals. The 2 games down the stretch, and everybody's like, "Oh, Tampa's back. They're ready for the playoffs." It's like, no, they're bogus. They're bogus.
My thought there was, first of all, the Cowboys did their best to lose. I mean, maybe not Dak or somebody else, but the kickers certainly. I mean, it's just laughable, and just only the Cowboys. They give away 3 points, 4 points on extra points is. I mean, it's like if we wrote this movie, you'd be like, this fucking movie is ridiculous. But the Bucks were getting some people back. It was at home, and again, the Cowboys are blowing the first round of playoffs. It's the first, I think it said the first time they won a game in 30 years on a playoff game in a road. So
it was all the numbers all pointed toward Tampa.
Yeah.
When we talk about do you take the team you see, or do you go with the numbers?
Right.
I think like Dallas hadn't won a road playoff game in 100 years.
30 years.
They hadn't won a game on grass. The record on grass is awful.
Right. Yep.
Dak's got 1 playoff game win in his career, which all out of 4, he's like 1-3, 1-4, whatever up to that point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then to boot, you're playing against Tom Brady,
right? And
he's at home, and you're laying him a couple points. So all the numbers, if you're just strictly going off of that, you go, well, we're gonna ride with Tampa, and if we lose, we lose. But man, I feel pretty good about myself for picking Dallas in that.
I was happy. Don't get me wrong, but what everybody forget, Dallas is badly injured. They don't have any left cornerback. They actually signed Xavier Rhodes, who was on the Vikings for like 50 years, and he actually played. They signed him that week, and he played in the game. They lost their left tackle, who's now back playing right tackle because they lost their right tackle. Everyone's injured at this point, but there was some major. They lost 2 starting corners, so that kind of went into my thinking as well. And Brady got some. I think he got his center back and maybe a guard back. Right. But whatever, listen.
And even Dallas had one of their corners got hurt in that game, and the guy that came in got beat a couple times, I think.
I mean, it's tough. They are hurting in terms of that cornerback spot.
And I think they're going to roll with the same kicker, right? I think they signed a guy to the practice squad, but I'm pretty sure they're going to roll with Maher or whatever. Is that
they brought him in? Maher. Yeah, but I think he was 6 for 6 yesterday in practice, and it was windy in Dallas. They said. I mean, it's tough. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's
been a solid kicker all year. He's been a solid kicker all year long. That's just one of those things.
Obviously,
they can get in your head.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, I mean, they said. They said the field sucked. Even Suckup, the other guy from the other team, said that he missed a kick at home last week. But whatever, there's no excuse. It's a fucking chip shot. So I think they're going to stick with him. They bring a guy in. Sorry, and then I don't know if they're going to keep him on this practice squad, just move him up just in case he misses the first extra point or something, and then. I don't know. But
you don't usually take a roster spot for 2 kickers. You got to make a decision this week. So, but if Maher seems like he's got it worked out in practice, I could see with him rolling with him. And I could see why, as the game went on and it was kind of like Dallas had control of the game, why they kept sending him out there. Because you're like, then you start thinking about next week, and you're like, well, let's get him out there, get one good kick. We'll get the fuck out of here. And then it was another bad one, another bad one. It's like, oh shit, how many times are we going to send? Before you start going for 2, and then whatever. But to me, Webb, I always thought it odd, right? So this kick, so he's one of those guys that puts the extra point on the hash.
Yes.
And to me, it was always odd when a kicker does that, because to me, already you've got this extra point thing playing in your head. Like kind of, it reminds me of a golfer that that has a big old banana slice on his thing, and he moves his ball instead of just trying to figure it out and get straight or whatever. He moves his ball way to the side of the tee box when he's teeing off to try and compensate for whatever the hell fucked up shot he's got. instead of being listen, I'm a professional kicker. I'm going to put it in the middle and make the fucking kick right down the fucking middle.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that.
It's in his head. To me, it's in his head already. So as soon as he shoots one off to the right, it just sends him. It's kind of like my chip shots. It sends once I fuck up an early chip shot, it fucks me up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I don't know about no fucking bullshit golf when it comes to these guys, but
the golf. I relate the golf swing to a kicker. I believe they're very similar.
I would just disagree. This guy's been kicking, I don't know how old he is, but he's been kicking a long time, been kicking extra points, and he's made, I'm sure in his life, he's made 90% of it. Well, you know, certainly going into last week's game, he's probably made 90% of his extra points. And kickers, I mean, especially a soccer, it's not like it's Mark Mosley just walking up and kicking, toe jamming it straight ahead. He's, you know, most of these kickers are 99% of the kickers these days are soccer style kickers anyway. So there is some type of angle he's taking. So, yeah, I mean, it did look weird when I started looking at it. He was on that hash all the way, but I guess, like, you know, he's been doing that. So
he's been doing that all year. I get it. Right. To me, just when I see kickers do that, I feel like it's a little bit in their head to begin with, you know. But whatever it is, whatever. I don't think we'll be talking about the games next week. I don't think they're going to be able to afford some missed kicks in this game.
I mean, it's lucky that they afforded them.
Yeah,
this week. That's all.
So we'd like to point out, Webb, you know, Trevor Lawrence, he's one of our guys that we liked in college. He always seemed like he won us some money. And so I like the dude. I root for him when he was in Clemson. And but he's one of those dudes. We like to bring up the guys with the moxie that kind of do the everyman shit. He showed up after the game to the Waffle House with his girlfriend after the big win in Jacksonville. I think it was Saturday night. And then also I wanted to get a quick shout out. We haven't really talked about Geno Smith too much. I know he had a big fumble down the stretch, but he had an incredible year, honestly. A dude that's been kind of put down his whole career, you know, a high draft pick, going to the Jets early on and just never really amounted to everything. Finally got a legit shot this year and in a good situation, I guess you could say, and really cashed in and played well all year. Seattle was one of probably by far one of the most surprising teams, and his performance most surprising teams of the years, considering especially losing Russell Wilson and all the other things that went on before the season started.
Absolutely. I mean, when we talked at the beginning of the season, I was saying that they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league. They had that cornerback, the 5th round kick, I think it's Woolley. He might have led the league in interceptions. Geno Smith came out of nowhere, and then that rookie running back. Kenneth Walker, he impressed me in that game. That's the most I watched him. But Geno Smith, I mean, like I said, he was a pretty high draft pick out of West Virginia for the Jets. But it showed he had no fucking coaching there.
Yep.
And then he was a bit of a dick back in the day. I don't know if you remember. He got knocked out by like his left tackle or something.
Oh, I vaguely remember a locker room skirmish of some kind. Something,
you know, and that's really rare for an offensive lineman in particular to not stick up for a quarter. Maybe the defensive guy might see it, but the dude, I remember, and Geno was out of there right after that, and I'm sure it was, you know, mutual, the team and him. But it also shows you what coaching can do, man. I mean, look at Russell Wilson left, and the dude's fucking horrible. Right. And, you know, I'm not sure how much day-to-day Carroll has to do with the quarterback room, but, you know, good year for him, and he made himself some money. I mean, he's certainly going to be in the running for that position next year, that QB1, and then they're in a good spot, man. They got all that shit from the Broncos.
Yep.
So if they could put some pieces around them.
No doubt. And then we've talked a lot, Webb, about how the college football is probably a thing that we know of is a thing of the past. But I'm starting to see maybe there's a possibility that some of these guys are. So there's a story about C.J. Stroud, and a lot of people think at Ohio State he's one of the top quarterbacks coming out for the NFL this year. But he hasn't announced yet. And there's a story out that he's got basically $4 million deal from NIL or from some companies up there to stay at Ohio State. So let's say he decides to stay at Ohio State because of these NIL deals and everything. Like there's a chance some dudes will be getting paid more to stay in college than they will be to go to, not necessarily him, but if it's just one person with $4 million on the table, there's probably a couple other boosters to say, oh, I'll put in $1 million. I'll put in $1 million. But by the time it's over, maybe CJ Stroud stays 4 years in college and doesn't even go to the NFL.
Well, that's interesting. First of all, he did declare, I think Sunday was the day, late Sunday night. Right. Yeah, so he's in. But
okay.
Yeah, a lot of I mean, it's well, I've read something maybe around that same time that there's plenty of guys in college that are making more than. There's dudes in college making a hell of a lot more money than Brock Purdy and, some of these other quarterbacks, even Kenny Pickett, just based off the NIL deals. And then did you see the thing? I don't know if it was a quarterback or he was going to Florida and he had, I don't know, a $13 million NIL deal. He signed his, LOI and all that stuff. And then I somehow, either the booster, whoever it was, reneged on the NIL deal. And the dude's now he's like going to sue. Like, I'm not going to go to Florida now.
Right.
Certainly
lawyers are going to get involved in all aspects of this.
Well, now it opens up a thing like, forget the NCAA. Now it's almost like, okay, is this a breach of contract? You told me you were going to pay me. So now it's almost like a legal thing. It's kind of, blurring in or, bleeding into the college sports. So it's weird. It's definitely a new world, man.
Yep. Unbelievable. So we'll see how it all pans out, but it's going to be a mess, no doubt. So, but, with that, if we don't want to do anything else, talk about too much more today, man, we can get right into it. I like some of these NFL playoff games, but whatever you got.
Let's just quickly, I want to mention, Coach Prime and what he's doing. I'm not sure how much NIL does or doesn't have to do with what he's doing at Colorado. I mean, he was doing the same thing at Jackson State. I would assume there's less money at Jackson State, but who knows? So it's just interesting. He just pulled a the number one cornerback flipped. And, like I said, this kid from Florida is moving. There's a lot of guys. I think he's the number one. They're the number one ranked team in terms of the portal. So it's just interesting what's going on. And then is his son legit the quarterback? I don't know that I've ever really.
He was the quarterback at the Jackson State. And they went basically undefeated minus the last game of the season, I think. So I don't know. But I feel like he probably had Division I offers, but went to Jackson State because his dad was there. So, I mean, I don't know if he's D1 legit quarterback. I haven't seen him play enough to, not that I would know watching against Jackson State's competition anyway.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess he's going to be the quarterback, right?
Definitely, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of dismissed it that he was Deion's son, and I knew he was like a dual threat, so I just figured he was some crazy athlete, and the worst comes to worst, he'll just run around back there against whatever the Southern Conference player. But we'll see. I'm just curious if you had any. But he was, again, I saw something when I was reading one of the Deion articles. The kid he's got a cannon of an arm. He was throwing the ball, 70 yards, whatever. So we'll see.
Yep. All right. So, without further ado, let's get some NFL picks going. We got Look, we did pretty good last week. Had some winners, couple losers. Maybe we put our heads together and get on the same page this time. We can get something going here.
It is interesting too. It looks like there may be a correction in the totals. They're much higher than they were.
Yeah, and I still like a couple of the overs, but yeah, much higher. No doubt. So let's start early tomorrow, Webb. Jaguars and Chiefs.
Plus KC minus 9 and 52.5. I'm rooting for the Jaguars, but I like KC here at home. This is a different, they're in some rarefied air here. I don't know that these players are ready for what they're gonna, the intensity or the moment, the power of the moment here. I like KC minus the 9, maybe a lean towards the over too.
Yeah. So I think what happens sometimes in these playoff games, especially when there's a bye week for a team, Webb, as far as a bettor's perception of things is, it's so fresh in your head that Jaguars comeback, and you're like, man, you're like, oh man, the Jaguars are fucking smoking hot. Trevor Lawrence has his shit together. They really know what's going on. They got good coach. The coach is not going to be outdone out there.
Right.
Peterson, whatever. So it's so fresh in your mind. You almost forget. It's been 2 weeks since Kansas City played. You forget all about them. You forget all about Mahomes. You forget they're the best team ended up with the best record in the league. And so you get caught up in that. You're like, 9 points. Oh my God. But if this happened 3 weeks ago in week 16 of the NFL season, you're like, yeah, I could see KC winning this game by 10.
Yeah.
And like you say, I think that, at Arrowhead, I'm willing to. This is a big number for a playoff game, but I'm willing to lay this one. I think Jacksonville had a great season. Getting to this point has been awesome. But I like Kansas City laying the 9. I'll take my chances. I don't think they're not going to lose. They're not going to lose the game.
No, that's not happening. They may start off a little slow, just coming off the bye.
Right. But I think it is an advantage for these teams to play in a playoff game because you've been in that environment, you've been in that, and especially the way Jacksonville's game was, they could have easily folded up the tent and didn't in the second half, but still, it's not like Kansas City hasn't been in this environment before.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I think with Jacksonville, I mean, they would have played, the next day. Let's just keep playing and not, almost like an NCAA tournament thing. Let's just keep this ball rolling. Let's keep this momentum. And not that it was a long layoff, but they're, the momentum was certainly in their favor. But I do think, KC may start off a little slow, but they're going to score a ton of points. I mean, Mahomes is ridiculous. At home, it's going to be, a sea of red. The weather may be a little bit of a thing for Jacksonville as well. So, yeah, I like the 9. Whatever. It is what it is.
It's showing might be 40 and raining that day, so we'll check the weather. I also like the over in this game. If we got good weather that day. If we got bad weather that day, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean you're looking at 35 for KC. That means you only got to get to 18, 52.5, buy it to 52. 35-17 gets you a win and a push. I mean that looks good for me.
Next up, we got the Giants go to Philly in that NFC East matchup. 3 NFC East teams still left in these NFL playoffs. And looks like Jalen Hurts was a full participant in practice yesterday. So if there was any question about him going this week, that's gone. Giants played really good against the Vikings last week. What do you think about this one, Webb?
7.5 and 48. But the thing about the Giants, the thing that I don't know that I've seen Saquon Barkley look that good. I don't even know since when. Maybe since he was a rookie, since the first injury. So that kind of changes my perception. I mean, this one is.
Bear in mind, Minnesota hasn't been able to stop anybody all year long. I mean,
Minnesota, yeah, that's true. But I thought being at home, and the Giants, had not played that well in more than one facet. Maybe one guy was playing well, and and they kind of got through. But the coach has done a great job. Did Jalen Hurts play that week 18?
Against
not.
Was it no, he didn't. That was just 2 games ago, right?
Like the last game, I don't know.
Oh, he did play against the Giants, but he went 20 of 35 for kind of a mediocre day. 1 interception, no touchdown passes.
Yeah, I wasn't, but at least he was out there and took some hits. I mean, this one's tough. My lean right now is take the Giants plus the points. It's just based off of, it's over a score. I'll take 8 points and, take a backdoor cover if I had to. 48 to me is kind of right there. I could see the Giants struggling to score maybe a little bit. So I'm not sure if it gets to 48. So this is probably for me the toughest game of the weekend.
Yeah, I think I'm a little leery of the number. I would prefer to buy it to 7 and take the Eagles minus the 7. But it's a division game. These games are always kind of tight. But I do. Unlike you, I like the over. I think the Eagles were over when Hurts was healthy. The Eagles were kind of an overplay almost most every week. And at 48, I think if the Giants can put up 17, I think we're in good 17, 20 points. I think we got a good chance to get that over.
Yeah, I mean that gets more the more we talk about it. I mean I got no problem taking the over. That's fine. I think the Eagles, their cornerback is hurt. And I keep reading how the Eagles have the best roster in football and all this other shit. And any time that you kind of hear that shit, it's always right. That's a bunch of bullshit. So
and also when you have a regular season like the Eagles have, and things, let's just say we go through the first quarter and they struggle a little bit. All of a sudden, man, that pressure starts to build on you, and I can see that. But I think I would take the points in the Giants and go over Eagles in this one if we're gonna do. I like the over. I like the over, so I'll let you pick which.
Well, I would say, I mean, in my mind, the better coach is on the Giants, right? And I'm not still sold. I'm Danny Dimes is what he is, but he can run as well as Jalen Hurts, and I'm not sure there's too much of a difference in terms of their passing ability. I do think the Philadelphia Eagles receivers certainly are much better. But I think is Devontae Smith out? Did he get hurt that last game?
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't see him listed in this early injury report right here. His name would be listed, I think, if
that's the kid from Alabama. But
yeah,
let's go with the over. And then I'm rooting for the Giants, even though it's hard for me to say because I have to deal with this bullshit in my backyard. But I'm just sick of the Eagles fucking hype, man.
All right, so we're just going over Eagles and laying. Okay. All right, next game, Webb. I kind of like this one. Bengals and Bills. I think you probably know which side of this road I'll be taking. But
5.5 and over 49. I like the Bengals plus the points here. They're getting no respect yet again. The Bills similar to the Eagles, but the Bills have been this way for I don't know how long now. Like the darling, everybody's darling, but they're yet to win fucking something of consequence.
How are they not just laying 3 points? How is it not just a 3-point? I can see at home the Bills up laying 3 points. But the Bengals, they're the team that went to the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
They got Joe Burrow every bit as much of a game breaker guy as Jared Allen is.
I'm gonna take it even. He's not a better runner. He's not as big and flashy. He's not gonna stand there and like a John Elway throw type.
He's not going to be a deer in headlights at Buffalo this week. That's for damn sure.
He's not going to fucking throw 2 interceptions in the first half either.
Right. So and then I think the Bengals have a couple offensive linemen hurt, but I think Joe Burrow will make up for that.
That's what scares me. I know for a fact the right tackle because he was on the Cowboys last year, Lel Collins.
I think they lost 2 guys, and Collins is an LSU guy too. So, but
he was on the Cowboys for most of his career till this year. He's out for sure. IR, I think. But they seem to deal with that shit all the time. I think he got sacked 9 times.
We've been saying for 3 years that the Bengals don't have an offensive line, and they went to the Super Bowl last year.
Didn't they win the game that he got sacked 9 times last year in the playoffs?
Probably.
Yeah, they definitely did. Anyways, I'm not.
This is another one. I lean towards the over, weather permitting, just because I could see this turning into an absolute shootout.
It could, and I know.
I kind of like the over in this one.
Me too.
All right, move on. Webb, son, I got to tell you, this is as much as I like the Cowboys last week. This is the game I like the best this week. Let's see where you at on this.
Well, this is another one where the Niners are again, the best team that's ever played professional football, but yet again, all they do is lose in these bigger games. Shanahan in particular. Brock Purdy's not going to go run this through. He's going to lose a game. I'm going to tell you that right now. Having said all that, I don't think it's going to be this one just because the Cowboys, it's not the Niners, it's the Cowboys. They've kind of, even Jerry Jones was like, the guy's a billionaire, act like he won the fucking Super Bowl last week because they beat a 45-year-old quarterback and a team on the downslope. So, not that Mike McCarthy's in that same mindset, but I just think the Cowboys, they are the Cowboys, and I'm conditioned to feel like they're going to fuck me. So,
yeah. In talking about the coaching job for Dallas, I was talking to a Cowboys fan of mine the other day, and he pretty much thinks that the win last week might have been the worst thing to ever happen to the Cowboys because it saved McCarthy's job, and now they're not really in the Sean Payton. You don't really hear them in the Sean Payton.
No. I mean, it's tough.
Mold anymore.
I hear that, and I was of the same mindset. But I've been, listen, Sean Payton won 1 Super Bowl, so did Mike McCarthy. Well, Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers, and he only won 1. Well, fucking Sean Payton had Drew Brees and only won 1, and he had a GM that would do anything in the world to bring players in. McCarthy didn't have that. Yep. McCarthy's won 2 games, 12 games in 2 years, blah, 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 blah. So I'm not sure, giving up a first-round pick for Sean Payton and all the money you're going to pay him, not that matters, is the end-all, be-all. So I was certainly of that mindset, but the more I the digger I dug, I just think it's,
Yep. I love San Francisco in this game. I'll give you a few reasons. This is number one. This is Dallas's 4th road game in a row, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but that's a big deal in the grand scheme of things. They played their last 3 regular season games were on, or actually 1, 2, 3. This will be their 4th. This will be their 5th out of the last 6 weeks. They'll be on the road. I just think this is going to be too much going. I think they shot their load last week. They're going to go to San Francisco. I'm ready for San Francisco to dominate this game.
They played 4 on the road games in a row. I don't think.
Yeah. So the last 2, I'm looking at it right now. Their last 2 regular season games were at Tennessee and at Washington.
Okay.
And then they played at Tampa Bay last week. The week before that, they played Philadelphia, and then they were at Jacksonville the week before that. So it's basically, this will be 5 out of 6 on the road.
Yeah, but they haven't won them all. They only won. They lost one.
I don't care. The team's traveling, bro. They've been to fucking – they flew from Dallas to Jacksonville, and then they played at home. Then they flew to Tennessee back home. They flew to Washington back home. They flew to Tampa Bay back home. And now they're flying to – and not only that, but they played Monday night, which is now you're on a short week to boot.
Yeah, I don't buy that. They ain't flying fucking coach. They ain't going through TSA. They ain't standing in security.
Man, even when I look into NFL games, I look at teams that are on their back-to-back road games some way, and to me, it weighs in on it.
You're wasting your time.
All right. Well, here's the deal. I'm wasting my time. I took the Cowboys last week. This week, San Francisco's going to beat the fuck out of your team. Is that a waste of time? They're going to beat the fucking blow the doors off them.
What's going to happen is the Cowboys are going to be winning, and they're going to lose by 2 at the end. That's what's going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen. So, and I'm taking the over also, but I love San Francisco. 40 fucking 6 points. 2 NFL teams. They're going to make plays. Deebo Samuel is going to be running around the end. Parsons isn't. I love Parsons. He's not going to go which way to run. They're going to be running reverses and doing shit. They're not even going to block him. They're going to fucking let you run wherever you go. That's where we're going the opposite way.
You better block him. He's going to fucking wreck the game. They don't block him. What's his name is going to get hurt?
The little guy's going to get hurt. Number 1 pick.
Like he always does.
That's it. The Cowboys going down.
Yeah, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win either, but that's not why. It has nothing to do with it. They could be flying. They come back from the moon. It don't matter.
All right.
But they could have been home the past 5 games.
All right.
And Cowboys score points, and their defense is not what it was. That would be my. Yeah, I do like that's a big point going from 3 to 4, and the Cowboys are heartbreakers. So be weary.
Yeah, they'll break my heart either way.
Right,
scumbags. They're kind of like the Notre Dame. They're a little bit like the Notre Dame of the NFL, and
they're gonna be winning and losing in the end, but not by 4. That's what's gonna happen.
They might get blown out. So, all right, there you go. Kansas City, over Eagles, Bengals, over Bills, San Francisco, and over San Francisco.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We're open. You want to get involved in this shit? And you got 1 million followers? Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, no
Sex
doubt,
sells, whatever it takes.
Whatever you want. That's right. Morals are out the window.
MN3 Technologies, Wilbur Investigations, Buffalo Grill in Little Rock, Arkansas, and John Grove for the bumper music. Thank you all for joining us. Let's have a great week of playoffs and win some money. Webb, take us out.
Brick by brick, baby. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You're welcome.
Hey guys, it's Devin. Make sure you subscribe to the Wager Makers podcast on YouTube, like all their videos, and click that bell so that you turn on your post notifications and you never miss another video.